It is no secret in the gaming world that there are some companies out there that hold substantial power on what games people actually play. And when it comes to gaming media, there are a few companies bigger than IGN. We all know what IGN is. It's that company that puts little red hexagons next to their reviews. The one where you type in blank review, select the top article, scroll all the way down to the bottom and decide from those couple of pixels right there if you should purchase the game or not. IGN holds a very special place in the community as being known as one of the most reliable, most prestigious and one of the most accurate reviewers. I'm not fooling anyone, am I? No, in reality, IGN has time and time again showed themselves to be biased, unreliable and inconsistent with their reviews and their company rules. Despite calling themselves gaming journalists, they can often come across as biased in their reviews, or even worse, just blatantly wrong. One game can get praised for having a certain thing, whilst another gets criticised for it. It all seems to be very inconsistent with what they are actually looking for when it comes time to rate a game. After years of controversies, strange scoring decisions and accusations of biasness, there is one question to be asked. Can IGN be trusted anymore? As conveniently as possible, IGN has a whole webpage dedicated to explaining their reviewing policies. At IGN, they're all about having fun whilst helping you determine if something is worth your time and hard-earned cash. They do this by providing a fully written review, which can range from 1,000 to 4,000 words, but those who are short on time or haven't read a book since the Mice of Men, they provide a brief one-paragraph verdict that summarises major writing points and an overall score that is not intended to replace the full review. But come on. We all know that number, that big number, that one right there on the cover of every single review they ever do about anything is the main thing that people look at and then stop looking at instantly. They also know that they attempt to match the best reviewer they have to the best piece of media, so there is always an attempt at least to put someone who is interested in the genre in front of it, which is great, if that happens all the time anyway. After all, I couldn't get into Fallout 4. Doesn't mean it's bad, it's just not for me. Let me review Mini Metros, a game which is much more towards my demographic. They have provided a handy-dandy chart on what, in theory, every number means. So let's get our heads over that before we get into the abuse of power that they hold over said numbers. Number 10, Masterpiece. The highest of the high. Whilst they claim there is no such thing as a perfect game, these come as close as they could reasonably ask for, and they hope that other developers can learn from their shining examples. Their highlights from this section include God of War, The Last of Us, Breath of the Wild, GTA 5, and, very recently, Mixtape, the 3-hour teen angst game. Okay, more on that later. Number 9, Amazing. They enthusiastically recommend that you add these to your playlist. These games have seriously impressed them, and they expect to look back on these as highlights of the time and its genres. Examples of this amazing include Resident Evil 2, Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, Forza Horizon 4, and Bathman. Bathman? Yeah, okay.
Bathman?
Bathman.
The fuck is Bathman?
Bathman.
Batman?
And Batman Arkham Knight.
Jesus.
I'm Batman.
I'm Batman.
I live in the bubbles.
Really clean.
Really clean. Number 8, Great. These games are mostly just described as noteworthy, whether that's with graphics, sounds, clever character writing, or a combination of everything. Any major complaints are still overruled by the more than excellent positive qualities to rule them out. Some examples are The Outer Worlds, The Division 2, specifically 2, not the first one, Kingdom Hearts 3, and Greedfall. Number 7, Good. It's just good. Could it be better? Absolutely. They say that maybe these games lack some ambition, have a few technical bumps, or are a bit too repetitive, but overall they walk away happy and they're sure that you will too. Some examples somehow include FIFA 20, the least repetitive franchise in the entire gaming world, Yoshi's Crafted World, Far Cry New Dawn, and World War Z. Number 6, OK. These get recommended, but with quite a few ifs about them. Basically, there's a good game hidden in there somewhere, but you'll have to ignore the fact that you're playing a Mario Party where you're all stuck in the same vehicle. The examples here include Wolfenstein Youngblood, Mario Party 10, Medieval and Assassin's Creed Chronicles China. Number 5, mediocre. The type of game that they describe as bland, unremarkable and forgotten about the day after you finish playing, specifically stating that a mediocre game isn't something you should spend your time or money on if you consider either of them to be precious to you. So if you play any of these, you're a dumb piece of shit. Examples of these forgotten wastes of space include Crackdown 3, Beyond Eyes, Fallout 76 and Moons of Madness. Number 4, bad. For one reason or another, these games made them wish that they never even played them. Even if there's a good idea in them, they can't recommend that you waste your time. These horrible, terrible games include WWE 2K20, The Legend of Korra, Aliens Colonial Marines, and Medal of Honor Warfighter. Number 3, awful. You're welcome. We've just saved you from making a terrible mistake of buying this collection of poorly executed, bad, I thought that was the last section, or unorganised ideas. These awful games are considered consistently unenjoyable. These waste of pixels include Devil's Third, Raven's Cry, Left Alive, and Fighters Uncaged. Number 2, painful. Okay, you get the gist. These games that they find insulting, according to them, examples are The Culling 2, Fast and Furious Showdown, Quantum Theory, and Fighter Within. Number 1, unbearable. Yeah, so crap that they sometimes don't even take the time to write out the reviews, blah blah blah, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, Step Up and Self-Defense Training Camp, all of which I've definitely heard of and definitely played. Now, do any of you see an issue here with the reviewing numbers? Anything below a 6, they literally tell you not to waste your money on it, calling you thick if you choose to do so, practically making it a giant waste of time to even bother numbering them. There are many factors that go into rating a video game, like they mentioned above. You shouldn't just go from the number, but everyone and their mum and their dog and their sister's boyfriend's pet hamster goes for that number. That's the headline, everyone knows it. Don't even try and deny it. SpongeBob SquarePants, the Patrick Star game, is a 5, and that's all it will ever be. But my dear IGN reviewer, can you please tell me why such a game as Grand Theft Auto Trilogy Definitive Edition Piece of Slop is somehow in the same category as the Until Dawn remake? One of these things is not like the other, and it's you buggy, next to unplayable piece of money-grubbing garbage. Terrible designs advertised as upgrades, more glitches in the game than missions that actually worked. This game had the original trilogy removed from Steam due to Rockstar simply wanting even more money, and it's somehow in the same category as the game that has had impressive graphical updates, strong character performances, and was completely rebuilt from the ground up. Granted, the sound design for some sections of Until Dawn Remake isn't quite as good as the original, and the colour grading is definitely different, not necessarily bad in any way, just may take away from the horror elements of smidge. But even the verdict they have written is inconsistent for these games that have received the same score. There's no question that the 3 games in the GTA trilogy are all-time classics, but they're unfortunately been remastered with a ham hand instead of a love fist. New features are slight and only partially implemented, visuals are mixed, performance is inconsistent at best, some content is missing, and bugs and glitches abound. In its existing state, this collection of 3 classic GTA games is far from being considered definitive. It's defective, disappointing, and surprisingly disrespectful to both the legacy of the games themselves and their many legions of fans. The verdict for the Until Dawn one, however, this remade version of Until Dawn features a substantial visual upgrade and brings it in line with some of the best looking horror adventures on the PS5, and Supermassive's definitive horror story is just as gory and shockingly okay as it's ever been. However, its cinematic flair is slightly undermined by the new over-the-shoulder camera, and it suffers at the hand of frame rates that's choppier than even the most caffeinated of axe murderers. Movement is noticeably slower and more sluggish than it used to be, and the handful of new gameplay features like the pointless totem turning minigame are unwelcome and don't even come close to justifying the remake's premium price tag, especially when the original is sitting right there next to it in the store. Never mind the 8 potential victims to be found inside the cabin in the woods. If you're still determined to play this half-hearted horror remake, you'd at least wait until the price is slashed instead. Defective, disappointing, and disrespectful. You gotta turn a totem and me don't like it, and the frame rate sometimes goes from 60 to 59, which I never had when playing on my PS5. One of these reviews is dragging the game into the ground, literally saying it's disrespectful to the legacy of the original versions. The other one says that it's had substantial visual upgrades, the story is just as gory and shocking as it's ever been, and yet somehow it's given the same rating because they don't like the new camera. Now, we've already gone over how IGN rates things, and it's not stated that the price will be considered anywhere, it's purely quality. They mention that they want to help people choose how to spend their money, but not that their reviews will be based by the cost amounts. You start going down that lane, then that means that the time of entertainment should also be considered, making Let It Die the 10 out of 10 masterpiece it always deserved to be, coming in at 0p an hour, and Undertale the worst game in existence. What a waste of time and energy, this piece of shit, it's too short to ever be worth the... £1.48 per hour of entertainment. I'm not saying you can't mention the price at all when reviewing games, because yes, I only played the Until Dawn remake because it was on PS Plus. I would have never considered purchasing it, especially at the price point of 59 Great British pounds and 99 schmeckles. But when the opposing game, the GTA trilogy, is only £10 cheaper, I don't think it's justified to drag what you clearly think is a well-made remake to the level of one you've just slandered into the ground for the sake of a tenner. No, this is not me saying that the Until Dawn remake is worth the money. It's me simply pointing out that the numbering system isn't even consistent by their own rule set. And these are just two random games I've found that both happen to be rated 5 and both just so happen to be remakes. But imagine how bad it gets when they actually find themselves in the middle of an internet war zone. Stop imagining, because I'm going to tell you about one of the most famous examples of IGN's terrible reviews. That being the review Ryan McCaffrey wrote regarding Alien Isolation. Released on the 7th of October 2014, Ryan gave Alien Isolation a 5.9, back when they still had decimals for their scoring system, with the main headline being that the game is mediocre, erasing the memory of the last terrible Alien game but still falling flat to the expectations that him and the rest of the gaming community had. So, Ryan's review came off a bit uneducated, that's the way to put it. The main premise of the game, without any spoilers, is that you are on a spaceship getting hunted by this alien, believe it or not, who learns and adapts to your movements and techniques. 99% of this thing's movement is unscripted and is purely ran by a learning AI that adapts to your playstyle, designed to keep you on your toes in this horrifying and beautifully crafted environment. Now, what exactly is wrong with this review? I'm going to make sure that I ignore every other review from Ryan McCaffrey. Hi, I just signed up to say this is the worst review I have ever seen. I'm late to the party, just finished it, absolutely loved it. Review, bad. Daily reminder, this is the worst review ever. You're almost certain help to scupper any chance of the sequel. How can this get this abysmal score yet Aliens vs Predator gets a 7 out of 10? Bunch of fucking shite eaters you are. This review actually criticised the learning AI model for being too hard, even blatantly telling people to not play the game on the hardest difficulty, which is the way developers recommended to play it.
Oh, and the main menu actually recommends that you play on hard difficulty. Here's a pro tip: don't do that!
He downgrades the gameplay of a survival horror game because the weapons don't kill the monster. It's not supposed to, Ryan! If you could kill it, what would you be doing for the rest of the experience? The vast majority of the weapons are designed to merely stun the creature on purpose. It's not like it's some sort of bug or design flaw. Whoopsie, we accidentally forgot to make the player feel powerful in this sneaky survival horror game. How do you manage that? You're supposed to feel as if every tiny movement can get you killed. The heavy footsteps of the alien creeping around the corner when all you've got to defend yourself is a table is the appeal, not the drawback. Throughout the review, he does bring up just how nerve-wracking and unsettling the experience can be. Like when you have to do the puzzle mini-games, you have to do that whilst Alien could be right behind you. But then he goes on to say that it's frustrating when any small noise would alert the predator. If the small noises didn't alert the predator, then you wouldn't be feeling that unsettledness, Ryan. If the alien didn't have the ability to be behind you or above you or anywhere else around you whilst doing the minigame, then you wouldn't be fearful of it. Now, I haven't actually completed the game myself because I know I wouldn't be able to get through it. I've tried one other Alien game, I can't even remember which one, and I cried like a baby and literally couldn't continue. So I can't speak from personal experience regarding what this game is like, but from the feedback and other reviews, IGN putting this one in the mediocre category seems like just unjust use of their journalistic powers. A lot of people cite this review as being one of the main reasons they stayed away from the game when it first came out, and why a direct sequel to it has never been seen, especially since it is still the first review that comes up when you search Google. Ryan just wasn't the right person for the game to review it, and I think that's pretty evident when his other reviews around the time consist of South Park: The Stick of Truth, a bunch of sport games, Halo Master Chief Collection, and Peggle 2. They put the fella who gave Peggle 2 a 9 into Alien Isolation. If you've watched anything else on my channel, you might know that one of my favourite games of all time is The Last of Us. Unfortunately, I am one of those people that has bought it like 3 times to the same fucking console just because I want an excuse to experience it again and again. I don't think you'll find many people on the face of the planet who disagree with IGN's rating of the first game, because it managed to make the franchise one of the biggest faces in gaming history, even to the point where I got my Dreamlight Valley obsessed stepmom to play it. And yeah, she did okay. The Last of Us Part 2 isn't quite up there as Naughty Dog's original masterpiece of a title, and a lot of user feedback agreed that it isn't quite reaching as high as a score as their previous entry. Most of that feedback is due to the story. IGN though, when they had Jonathan Dombush review the game, who's also reviewed titles such as Control, Kingdom Hearts 3, God of War and Spider-Man for the PS4, they gave him a lot of the grades. He seemed to completely disagree. While the original Last of Us game was reviewed by Colin Moriarty, who doesn't work for IGN anymore, Jonathan Dombush still did an incredible job at attempting to give an honest review without spoilers for the time. Because how do you go about writing a review for this game without talking about the most controversial part? This is an expansive narrative, a game about grief, revenge, and the discovery that there are always 2 sides to every story. It's just a shame that one half of the story was following the woman who ended one of gaming's greatest stepdads of all time. It's no secret that having one of the most beloved dad figures in history killed by this buff giant of a woman that the audience doesn't even know would be controversial. But then forcing half the playtime to be you playing as her is a step that may have been too far. One of the biggest complaints is the pacing of the game. It obviously starts as Ellie, but then it switches back to Abby, and that's just when the game seems fit to do so. So when you get to the theatre, for example, and you're finally about to have a showdown with Abby as Ellie, it switches back to Abby doing something you care significantly less about, losing all the tension that was built up as Ellie. By the time you get back there, it doesn't really have the same impact because you already know Ellie's there, because you're the one that put her there, and you already know Abby is there, since that's where Ellie's already been. The pacing is all over the place thanks to that, where a lot of people, myself included, found themselves just trying to get through the Abby sections of the game to get back to Ellie, the clear winner in the high school popularity contest. IGN, though, didn't, or I guess they couldn't really directly address that in their review. Nothing that he said was wrong, the visuals are outstanding, the combat is nothing but an upgrade, and adding a jump button inside a gaming franchise has never had such a severe upgrade on gameplay. But the narrative is so controversial and quite frankly unlikable at times that it can harden the rest of the experience. So giving this game the 10 out of 10 rating that it received was questionable. Putting it on the same pedestal as the first game was not quite the checkmate move they thought it would be. It was more like just making every single piece on the board a king and saying they're all worth the same thing. They're not. Considering how limited IGN gives out their 10 out of 10 masterpieces recognition, yet they failed to talk about any of the downsides of the plot, the review felt a bit deceiving and one-sided, sucking the balls of Naughty Dog like they're the only ones left that can provide them any substance in gaming. But I bet you're all waiting for my verdict on this game, and it is probably an 8? No, an 8.5. Abby's a better character than what most of the internet lets you think she is, but obviously she's not on the same level as Ellie. But just because the review doesn't address that at all, it can make it very difficult to believe. One of my favourite comments on this review is Patman87. I just recently played it on the PS5. Whilst it is a top-notch game, I still don't get what all the critics smoked when they reviewed the game.
I'm going to do you a great favour and save you some time and money. Don't buy Sonic Unleashed. There, you can stop reading and spend your $60 on something more worthwhile.
Like 60 tacos.
Thank you. That's it. As much as I'm sure $61 tacos might have been realistic back in 2012, it certainly isn't anymore. So I'm going to be looking at this review if Sonic Unleashed compares to the more realistic 3 tacos instead. As I'm sure you can imagine, just based on that little snippet, this review absolutely drags Sonic Unleashed to the floor, even going as far to say that the game made him bipolar by having the daytime areas be great, but the nighttime areas feel like the biggest pile of doo-doo in the whole world. It is undeniable the effect this review had on the game franchise, especially at the time of its release, since there weren't as many reviewing websites and sources available, so this review landing on a 4.5 by Hillary Goldstein burned any chances it had of being a success. Looking back at this review's catalogue of reviews, you've got Rayman 3D, LA Noire, Rock Band 3, and 2 versions of Scott Pilgrim vs. the World. Unfortunately for the fanbase, it seemed that Hillary crawled out of his little cave on the day Sonic Unleashed needed reviewing and decided that today was the day that Werehogs needed to be more realistic, because one of the biggest complaints he has is that the stretchy arms cannot be stretchy. That's simply too dumb for a Sonic game. Throughout it, he acknowledges that the daytime levels, the classic levels where Sonic is running through a bunch of completely natural and flying platforms, is actually very well designed and entertaining. But he thinks that the other aspects of the game drag it down so much that it isn't even worth any tacos. He criticises the fact that the combat as the Werehog is repetitive and unrewarding, and that the stretchy arms aren't realistic, and that the nighttime sections take 30 minutes. This was met with a lot of fans saying it was a skill issue, since the average time is actually more like 15, so suck it Hillary, be better. Most of the mechanics he complained about, like the stretchy arms, the unresponsive jump button.
The jump button can be fatally unresponsive at times.
Are just blatant non-issues. He thinks the hub world is slow and boring. Don't engage with it then. He thinks the stretchy arms are dumb. Well, it unlocks new areas for Sonic to explore, which are literally inaccessible during the day. And the combat doesn't seem to be that repetitive for many other people who found the enemy variety plenty. This game, this beloved Sonic game, is in the same category as Lord of the Rings Gollum. Inconsistency at its finest. The aesthetics of a 1930s cartoon with the pun count higher than Sans the freaking skeleton. Mouse PI for Hire is a delightful little indie game that has been recently released to critic praise. From everyone apart from IGN, of course, because it wouldn't be on this list. If you couldn't gather from the few shots of gameplay I've already shown, Mice PI for Hire is a first-person shooter noir detective game in a world full of mice. Its visuals are probably the most captivating thing about it, with a classic noir detective story to hold it up with. On top of that, it has a charming cast, gripping story, and exceptional sound design that fits right in with the early cartoon style world. Will Bulger, though, who seems to be like the actual perfect candidate to review this game with Scott Pilgrim EX, The Animal, and of course Black Ops 7 Zombies, there isn't really anything that would suggest that he would dislike this cheesy game. But boy, he didn't really understand what made this game so brilliant. One of his main complaints is the ludonarrative dissonance in the game, which I will admit, I love talking about ludonarrative dissonance, especially in Uncharted 4, being one of my personal favourite examples of it. In case you don't know, ludonarrative dissonance refers to the idea that the actions performed by the character in the game directly contradict the way the story treats him. I.e.,
wow, Nathan Drake is this amazing explorer, a family man who just so happens to slaughter
hundreds of people without a second thought.
you know a game that doesn't have this issue? Red Dead Redemption 2. That's right, I'm giving this game a compliment. It's a good game. The way you act has direct impact on the narrative and the way that people treat you. Now, I'm all for agreeing that ludonarrative dissonance can be an issue when the game takes itself too seriously. If you're watching Joel going around strangling, beating, shooting, and literally torturing people, and then Ellie turned around and said, "Wow, Joel, you're such a cool stepdad. I really just admire how benevolent you are. Your kindness just radiates from you." Then that would instantly break the immersion of the very realistic game. You know, some games that I don't really care about ludonarrative dissonance in? Hollow Knight, Overwatch, Slime Rancher, TVZ Garden Warfare, even something like Baldur's Gate 3. Like, are we really expected to believe that they're saving the world by fighting ourselves? Or that we have a very limited time thanks to a literal mind parasite that is slowly forming literal cults all over the globe? We have time to say hello to Auntie Ethel?
Oh, whatever do you mean, Petal?
In a mouse detective game, I'm not paying attention to contradictions between gameplay and narration as much as Will, for some reason, thought that we all would be. His other major complaint is how overly referential the game is.
What bothers me, however, is how overly referential so much of it is. The world is full of mice, so everything is about cheese.
Because it's a world full of mice, Will. I can understand that mentioning that it could get a bit repetitive or perhaps distract from the more intense moments, but if this is the main thing he points towards when rating the game a 6? A 6? An okay score? The game makes references to other classic cartoons and noir films throughout, which many believe to be charming. Well, Will deems it to be distracting. To each their own. But I think from judging the gameplay alone, you already know what you're getting into. Even when looking at Metacritic critic reviews, it averages out at an 81, with IGN obviously rating it the lowest. For such a small and unique indie game like this one, I can't even imagine the devastating effects this has had on their revenue. It's so upsetting to see that this clearly had years of love poured into it and it's been shredded for criticism such as being a boomer shooter. What does that even mean? Personally, I think they did a gooder job on finding a balance between charm, story and exciting gameplay that I can only urge people to try. It deserves way better than receiving a 6 like Drag X Drive did. IGN's latest and so far only 10 out of 10 rating for a game this year. And it goes to a 3-hour, one playthrough only, lackluster title of a game that has been criticised for its overuse of nostalgia baiting and the fact that it can hardly even be considered a video game at all. Developed by Beethoven and Dinosaur and published by Annapurna Interactive, released on May 7th and is already causing a storm with its perfect 10 out of 10 scores from multiple different publishers, including from IGN's Simon Cardy, who has also reviewed Marvel Rivals, the Black Ops 6 campaign, Astro Bot and Balatro. The game follows a group of teenagers, Rockford, Slater and Cassandra, and their last day together before Rockford flies from the nest to try and become a music supervisor. Not a producer, not a writer, a supervisor. Every little girl's dream. Their last day consists of going to a party in the middle of the woods and reminiscing on all their favourite memories together. It's charming, it has a very unique and tasteful art style. Apart from the fact that characters look like they're just losing frames. This doesn't work for a video game, guys, come on. The scenery anyway looks lovely, but the main draw is the licensed music.
Portishead's debut album, Dummy. A must-have. Cinematic, ambitious, ahead of its time. Just like me.
Can you shut the fuck up?
This game has 28 licensed tracks from the 1980s, like Stan Bush's Dare, Iggy Pop's Candy, and the Smashing Pumpkins' Love, just to name a few. These are IPs that would have cost them a pretty penny to contain, and that opportunity has not been wasted. Simon remarks that the game feels like it was made exactly for him, a game that has a grounded explanation of friendship, comfort, and a story that is often hilarious, like those aimless afternoons you spend with friends. So it's essentially a coming-of-age movie. No, you heard me right, a movie. Mixtape has gathered a lot of positive and a lot of negative attention extremely quickly. Calling this a game is in the same vein as calling participating in a pantomime performing, because really this is nothing more than an extended animated movie with unnecessary interactions. No one wants to watch two teenagers make out for the first time. No one wants to play two teenagers making out for the first time. This is just gross. There is no denying that this game has its pros. It's a heartfelt tale. The characters are well written with flaws and all, even if it can sometimes make them extremely unlikable. But really, this is nothing more than a dressed up horse trying to paint itself to look like a more exciting zebra, because this game is impossible to fail. Unlike other narrative-driven games, like Life is Strange, the Telltale series, or the more recent Lost Records, there are no choices. I was seriously shocked when I heard that, because what do you mean there's no choices? There's no dialogue options, no different endings, no puzzles, no nothing. This is a locked-in story that knew what it wanted to say with no deviation. This isn't a bad thing. The Last of Us, Ghost of Tsushima, the Yakuza series, God of War, and many more have a set narrative that they want to say it, and they say it gosh darn well. Mixtape tells a story they want to tell you, but doesn't provide anything for the player to actually sink their teeth into. If it was rated a 7 or an 8, maybe a 9 at a push, then I think people wouldn't bat their eyes at that. You know, another story game to throw into the pile with a cool-ish style. Line it all up to the other recent 10 out of 10s next to each other, and I think one of these stands out a bit more than the others. It's been said that this game has been received so highly because it's suspected to be an industry plant. Wouldn't surprise me. Can IGN be trusted to help you make decisions about your hard-earned cash? Despite what they may try to claim all over their website, no, not really. But neither can any other reviewer out there. Opinions are so varied that it's almost impossible to not have some sort of biasness seep through, no matter how much you try to remain neutral. What's important though is presenting the facts of a game, and when you don't talk about controversial storylines, lack of user interaction, literally encourage players to go against developer recommendations due to a skill issue, then you're not remaining very neutral. I, personally, still think they're an important part in the gaming world though. If it's not them, then it's GameSpot. If it's not them, it's OpenCritic, GameRant, Eurogamer, the list goes on. Someone is always ready to take their spot, and someone who takes it could always be worse. If by some miracle though, someone from IGN is watching this, how about reviewing this little number system, eh? You've got like 4 numbers here, they're the same thing more or less. What's the point? If you enjoyed watching this video though, then I would really appreciate it if you gave it a like and subscribe. These videos do take a long time to make, but I am trying my best to be a bit more consistent, even if it is a lot of work. If you like what you see, then tell the YouTube algorithm that you do by watching another video that comes on the screen about now. And as always, I'd love to see your opinions below in the comments. Have a lovely day or night or evening wherever you are in the world, and I will see you guys soon. Bye!